Hi, I'm James Shillinglaw, and I'm here with Jeff Anderson, who is co-president of Avoya Travel, one of the most innovative host travel agencies around, and someone we've talked with in the past many times. And we wanted to get Jeff's take on what's going on with the COVID-19 crisis, especially relates to Avoya Travel and the industry, and especially the cruise industry, because Avoya is a very large seller of cruises. And you're going to find out about all that and more on Insider Travel Report. Now, Jeff, first of all, how are you and where are you?
I'm doing well, man. Well means something pretty different than it did a few months ago.
It's the new well, right?
The new well. And thank you for letting me join you guys today. I am sitting in our innovation center in San Diego, out in our cafe, and decided it was appropriate enough for me to come and just kind of sit down where I wish. It was filled up right now with our team, but we're still working from home here in California.
No, that's but at least you have a nice office to go to, even though there are no people. You've taken out all the people. I don't know how that's like.
I know. Well, we're all anxious to get back. We just want to make sure that we can do that social distancing thing that'll keep people healthy. So that's the plan. But it does feel there is an energy being back in the office where we used to frolic and entertain people as they would come in, and so it's good to be back here.
Great. Now let's talk about how Avoya has really weathered this crisis so far. How have you been helping your travel agency affiliates survive this, and what programs have you introduced to help them?
Yeah, so our independent agency network is pivotal to our overall business model, and we look at them as our partners, as our customers, and it's really important that we provide even better services now than ever before. So, the network is doing, darn well. Granted, they're working from home. They're very fortunate to be in the business model that they have been in for quite some time. They weren't in a retail environment before or a call center before where, they had this major disruption. This is the way that they've been doing business for years and years. So right. It's a very familiar territory. There wasn't learning going on and how to do, remote based sales and servicing. So they're doing great. We've been very focused on keeping them strong. We've done a number of things like waiving fees. We typically have a monthly fee that we charge. And so we've waived those fees, which is always important for us to try to keep money in their pocket as well. But we also rolled out a program called Avoya Cares, which is really our way of bringing business resources to the table for them. So we set up a series of webinars and brought on legal experts and accounting experts to really help understand what do you do in a period of crisis like this? How do you take advantage of these unprecedented government programs that have come out, like the Families First Act and the CARES Act. And so really focused on helping them try to extend their runways as a business through this difficult time.
Yeah, well, that's hopefully some of them have been able to either take advantage of unemployment, because I know they've extended that to independent contractors, or maybe, I don't know about the PPP, but there are definitely some programs out there, and I know we're taking advantage of them as well. Let's talk a little bit about what do you think your affiliates, your independent affiliates, should be focusing on right now during this crisis, and what are you advising them to do?
I heard a saying, and I got to give credit to the source, Don Ritzenthaler at Celebrity. Said very early on that in this type of environment, servicing is selling. And as soon as I heard that, we wanted to roll that out and help people understand how imperative it is that the relationships that they've been building all of these years, that the best way to continue getting long-term value out of those relationships is by serving them in this difficult time. And yeah, it is thanks to we've been very fortunate with our business model that we have independent agencies that could tap into PPP loans, that they've been able to tap into benefits that didn't used to be available to independent contractors before. And so they've done an extraordinary job of continuing to service their customers. And, you know, there's a lot of work to be done with all these cancellations that are happening. But we felt it was really important for us not to abandon our independent agencies through this, for our independent agencies not to abandon our travelers. And we didn't want to walk away from both the responsibility of being a good service provider, nor the opportunity from the long-term perspective. And we certainly didn't want to leave the suppliers to worry about this and figure out this problem on their own by, you know, having all of our service people disappear. So it's been a unique challenge, but one I do feel super blessed and humbled at how fortunate we are to have the business model that we have. And I think a lot of our independent agencies feel the same way about the surprising comfort. Nobody's having a great time right now, obviously, but you know, the comfort that they have, that they're in a familiar environment, they know how to take care of their customers, and they do have a really loyal following. So they, you know, they believe, and we believe as well, that we'll get through this.
Are you finding that most of them have been able to move these bookings and take advantage of the future cruise credits instead of just getting outright cancellations?
Yeah, and in fact, you know, some of the reporting that we've received from our supplier partners are indicating that we're ahead of the trends in terms of getting people to move those bookings into the future. You know, a lot of what we're selling are to loyal customers who've worked with us before, and so they know who we are. A lot of them are loyalists to certain brands, and so they don't want to miss out on their trip. They would just rather move it somewhere else. So yeah, we've been actually very, very successful in not only rebooking, but also getting people to take those future travel vouchers or cruise credits. So it's been you know, if there are successes, if you could label that a success,
yeah.
You know, we certainly feel that we've done a good job there.
Well, a little bit of light at the end of the tunnel, I guess. But now I switch gears a little bit. I know I was hoping to get together with you guys in October for your annual conference, as I've done before. Have you made a decision on whether you're going to hold that, or are you going to go for a virtual one, as almost everybody seems to be doing?
I think that we have not made a final decision yet.
Right.
Listen, travel is really hard right now, and in our industry, if travel is really hard, you know, we certainly want to be sensitive to the economics that creates for everybody in our industry. And so, right now, it's still on. Like everybody loves the morale of seeing each other, and maybe now is like more important than ever before to get back together. But that said, there's also the logistics and the economics of it as well that we're trying to balance out. So should we need to go virtual, we will. We've got a great virtual event. We took our land forum that was supposed to happen in Las Vegas back in April. We are doing that virtually now this next week, and attendance jumped 5-fold.
Wow.
Going from that land-based opportunity to a virtual opportunity. The thing is just as intense as it was before. There's still a lot of content, or we don't want to slim things back. People are hungry to learn and grow. But yeah, we saw a 5-fold increase in attendees.
Well, you know, they can go virtually. It's sort of there's very little excuse for them not to show up virtually if they don't have to pay for airfare and go to the you know, pay for hotel and all that. It seems like this is the wave of the future, as much as I don't like it completely, because obviously we like the live in-person events too. And clearly, you know, things like Zoom that we're on now and other devices Everybody said when is virtual conferences going to replace real conferences? Well, we've had to do that. So it's sort of, interesting how we've all adapted. It's sort of scary how we adapted so quickly.
It's mind-boggling. And even sitting in our new innovation center, I'm like, man, this was so critical to the way that we operated, 4 months ago.
Right.
And now I look at how we operate today, and what, there's a lot of value in being able to be flexible and virtual. And we're starting to learn more and more of those benefits. We've known it for a long time, right? Our pedigree was coming out of the brick and mortar travel agency world. And as a little bit of a pick me up for our team earlier this week, we looked at an old Anderson Travel ad that we ran in the San Diego Union Tribune back in 1999.
Oh,
and
wasn't that long ago, huh?
I know, right? And we kind of scanned through the ads. We got a good giggle out of my father Brad with his mustache, and we all miss his mustache now.
Well, he has the chance to redo it now. I just saw him; he doesn't have it, but boy, this is an opportunity. Tell Brad that he should try that mustache.
I know. There's going to be a lot of peer pressure for him to do that. But we scrolled down to the bottom of the ad, and in that ad, it had all of our locations listed and the phone numbers.
Oh wow!
And I was like, what's missing from here? And the answer was all of our physical locations. And number two was there was no website.
Mm.
And, to think back in 1999, all of the things that were about to happen and how we even got to where we are today leaves people with hope. And I think whether we end up doing our conference physically or virtually, we're gonna move along with the times here, and whatever those conditions are, we're ready to take advantage of them.
Well, geez, in 1999, you were a little bit behind the times. Some people had websites back then.
I know. When I saw it, I was like, man. Hey, just for reference, you guys, I was a senior in high school, so 1999. It was April of 1999. Okay, I wasn't old enough to make a difference back then. Maybe I was, and I was just too lame. So.
Well, I'm sure you weren't lame, but that's kind of the thing is in terms of what your father and your uncle were doing, and your grandparents. That you have a long pedigree with Avoya and Anderson Travel, and clearly, you sort of changed the model, and that's kind of what I think is your strength, is you've been able to adapt. But let's talk a little bit about how you've long focused on selling cruises. Obviously, that's been your major category. Although in recent years, you've gone to focus more on tour and all-inclusive and resort sales. Will this crisis push you to grow resort and tour sales even further to acquire maybe a better balance, given what's going on with cruising right now?
Yeah, and that's not to take anything away from cruising. It's just being practical about the situation that we're being faced with. And I think that we've got to look at what our travelers are able to do. And if cruising isn't an option, then most of our travelers, they're pretty interested in continuing to travel. So yeah, it certainly opens up a whole new opportunity for us to continue to expand our product portfolio. We've already been having a lot of success with that, but I think cruising has been, it's been our bread and butter. We love it. We know that there's a lot of loyalists, but like I said, we don't want to take away from cruising. We believe very, very deeply that once cruising is ready to go again, that there will be a very strong resurgence in it. First from past cruisers. Like there's a big population of travelers who adore cruising. They feel safe when they're cruising. Mm-hmm. They know how well cruise lines clean things and what they do to protect them. So they feel very, very comfortable on ships. And so yeah, we're gonna open up our product portfolio. It's times of change. We say internally, times of change or times of opportunity. And we always had on our forward-looking plan towards 2025 that we were going to be doing more land. And so, nothing like a COVID-19 who from a business perspective, has been a harsh teacher to tell us that we've got to push that along further, faster now.
Yeah. Now, what about the sort of bigger picture question? How do you think cruise lines, what should they do to come back as the crisis ebbs? Believe me, when all this started, I was driving up through Rhode Island to go to an inn up in Cape Cod to do another video. Of course, that's what I do. And I heard a DJ in Rhode Island saying, this is when the Princess incident was coming in from Japan, and they were ferrying people back to the United States. And the guy said, reported the news and then editorialized, and he said, you wouldn't catch me dead on a cruise ship. I want to choose where I want to die. And that was not a good, I said, that's not a good thing for cruising. And I actually wrote a column at the time. I said, don't give in to fear. And of course, then we all gave in to fear. So it was, you can't, what do you think that the cruise industry needs to be focusing on to come back? I know they've done an awful lot in the health and sanitation. I mean, we're getting it almost daily updates. I mean, everybody's put in these programs and affiliating with high-end, health and safety organizations. But what do you think they need to do?
I mean, I think at the end of the day, the route for people feeling safe and cruising again just has to do with the practical health measures that are in place, combined with people's behaviors changing. And we have to remember where we all were 60 days ago and the information that we were being exposed to 60 days ago.
Right.
We also have to keep in mind what's even happened in the last 2 to 4 weeks. Not only as the country has reopened, right? And in some states now, we're allowed to go sit at a restaurant again.
Amazing, huh?
That was unfathomable. We also have to look at other circumstances that are happening out in our country right now with some of the protesting that's occurring. Like, all of a sudden, people went from being way too afraid to be near people to recognizing that there was a purpose and a cause, and it was okay to be near people again.
Right.
I think that the journey, what people had in their mind 2 months ago, is very different than what they have in their mind today. And I think that same gap in difference will continue to progress pretty exponentially. I think so long as cruise lines are able to exhibit these physical examples of what it looks like to be safe. Mm-hmm. I genuinely believe that there will be leaders in the health and safety of their guests, and so I think that will take some time for people to catch on to. But I think it's not just big about what they do, but it's big about the way that people are changing their whole set of behaviors today versus just 60 days ago.
Right.
And if you look at all of the stats about people who are driving, businesses are coming back. Local mom and pop restaurants are sprouting back up. So I think so long as they have good examples of the way that they're providing safety and health to their guests, personally, I want to be served so bad right now.
Yeah.
And
absolutely.
And honestly, there's like no better product, in my opinion, than what you get on a ship, whether that's on the river or on an ocean. Man, it's so effortless. And personally, I've enjoyed cooking with my wife and my kids.
Have they enjoyed your cooking?
That would be no, not so much, not as much. But no, I think people they want to get back out. They want to experience life like they remember it. And my opinion is that people will spend more money to do it going forward.
Yeah.
And so, they're going to value those times and those experiences. Just the very simple act of being served at a restaurant is more valuable today than it was 3 months ago.
No, I remember when I was down in Florida earlier, and the first time we went to a real restaurant, whether that was outside or inside, and actually got served, it was like, whoa, I remember this.
Yeah.
It was pretty amazing because the previous I was down in Mexico, and we were getting served right and left because there was nobody else that could serve. We were one of the few guests in these resorts. So at the very beginning of all this, now let's talk a little bit about, you mentioned about how the crisis has affected your business model. I know you have a kind of a multi-strategic plan that dates up to like 2025. And kind of different segments and what you're going to try to do. How has that been affected by this COVID crisis? Is there something that you've had to change, or are you still on track for it, or is there anything that's going to be altered because of this?
We're, again, like I said earlier, like we feel super fortunate to have the model that we have. The biggest change right now is we're pulling some things that were slated for 2021 and 2022. We're pulling those earlier into the way that we're going to be doing business. Two of those key categories that we're pulling earlier are our supplier relationships and the way that we technologically engage with them, and the way that they interface with our travelers and our network. We're expediting the tech build for the way that we're going to do that, and that's right now the name for that is Avoya Access. That we're speeding up the development for how that's going to work going forward. And then secondly, like we talked about earlier, we're going to serve more customers to land-based destinations. Mm-hmm. As traveler demand has shifted, and as there's 0% capacity for cruising, like we're going to still help our travelers travel. So those would be probably the two biggest examples, right, that we're pulling forward. Remember, we've already got really good technology and really good marketing. So a lot of those typical business operations, we feel we're already very, very sound. Of course, we're looking for more technology to, as we refer internally, we want to take the robot out of the human. Okay. So all of those initiatives to help improve efficiencies for our people, those will continue. And again, our business model, we've been super fortunate. We feel like we're in the right spot. We're online, and we're home-based. And we've been fortunate because we've been partnering with independent contractors as opposed to employees, which in this situation, the federal government did a lot for those businesses. And so it's been, fortunately, we've been in a very good spot so far. It's not been easy, no. Right? Nobody has this easy, but we've been very fortunate so far.
Well, I figured, you had this time, whatever it is. Everybody says we had so much time, and the answer is I can't find that time. I don't know what they're talking about. I'm working harder than ever. But so I assume you just stuck your brother Mike back in a room and just said, "You go develop all this stuff, and I'll see you later."
Yeah, exactly. Isn't that what you're supposed to do?
Yeah, stick it. Just don't come out until you got something good, right?
Yeah. No, our development team has been absolutely cranking. And as have all the teams, right? And I think that the challenge that we kind of issued for our team, starting at the beginning of May, and it'll run through the end of July, is, what do we need to do to become more efficient across every layer of the organization? Efficiency is king right now, and given the fact that our network, the size of our network, is almost identically sized. We're at 99.9% of where we were at the beginning of the year. Mm-hmm. And so, and we expect to be growing through this. We expect the network to be expanding through all of the changes that other friendly competitors have been going through. We expect that to be changing. So it's really important for us to build, continue building the platform that we've had to make room and opportunity for friendly competitors.
No, that's great, and you really, I mean, I'm looking at your new office in the background there that I was actually did not get a chance to get out to see, and now you give me the virtual tour, so that was good, and I got to see your dad, Brad, and Mike in the background. Let's talk. Are there any other messages you want to get out to both your Avoya agency affiliates or even travel advisors in general? Any message, and also any messages for your cruise and supplier partners?
Yeah, I mean, I think the simplicity of what we're experiencing today can be boiled down to just finding true partnership with each other. This is undoubtedly the most difficult time that our industry has ever faced. And so then it comes down to how do we actually work with each other instead of be adversarial with each other. And that requires the right attitude.
Right.
It requires the right technology. It requires the right vision. Travel distribution, as we know it, has been tremendously disrupted. And we're very focused on finding common ground for people who think similarly to the way that we do. We don't pretend to have all the answers, but we think we've got some pretty good ones. And finding like-minded partners, whether they're independent agencies, whether they're former employees who have been let go of their organizations, or finding supplier partners that have said, you know what, we really want to do distribution differently than we did before, is where we're focusing our attention right now. There is a massive shift in the landscape, and as poised as we've been for growth in a normal environment, we feel that right now is a better opportunity for us than ever before to help people expand onto our platform. And so that's, we just want to partner with people. It's fun to do this together, right? We're all in the people business in the first place.
We just have to be socially distant, right?
just socially distant. And this works. This works.
There you go. Well, Jeff, first of all, thank you very much for taking the time. I loved hearing all your thoughts about what Avoya is doing, about what the cruise industry is doing, your supplier partners. It's been great to see you. If you have the conference, I will be there. I have no qualms, and it's in Florida. They have restaurants are open. It's great.
That's right.
Why not? But it'll be fun if we can get together. If not, we'll do it virtually. And what do they say? See you next year. No.
Yeah. No, James, and thank you for having me today. There's like a constant glut of bad news. And, the truth is we've got to know the hard reality that's out there. But there's also a lot of hope that you're providing out there as well. There will be better days. And this industry is not going to go away. And so even as it relates to us partnering with media as well, we've got to figure out how to make this work for not just for ourselves, not just for our travelers or for our supplier partners, but I think of all the people on the other side, all the crew members that are out there, that they're dependent on this for their incomes. There's a lot that we can still do for each other, and we all need some hope.
Yeah, well, you were telling me earlier, all these people, poor people around the world who are dependent on travel and tourism, and suddenly they don't have it.
Yeah.
And that's sort of leading there's hunger in the world. There's all kinds of things that we have to figure out a way to stop it and get them the relief they need.
Yeah, our responsibility as Americans didn't end when this all started. And in a lot of ways, when we're going through crisis, you really start to figure out what you're all about based on what's on your calendar. And I know that we've all got to focus on our businesses now more than ever. But at the same time, we gotta continue to help others. So
that's great words, Jeff. Again, thank you for taking the time. Hopefully, we'll see you soon live at some point later this year. And again, say hello to the rest of your family there. I just saw a few of them, and it's been great. I missed that time. But it's been good to see you here. And I know we spoke earlier. It was good to hear your voice when we were talking a couple of weeks ago. But this too shall pass, as they say, and we'll, as we said, emerge stronger from it.
James, thank you, and I can't wait to see you as well.
I'm James Shillinglaw, and this is Insider Travel Report.